welcome everybody to our Daily Gun Show, where we come to you live every weeknight at midnight Eastern or later when we get corked by other shows that rudely go over the time slots that they've chosen, they decided on, and then overrun our show, which is the actual show that's on episode 1277. So we've got a poll up there. If you'd like to participate, it is free this evening. You can click on it by using your mouse or your finger or whatever to click on the mouse or whatever, the keyboard or your screen, whatever you're clicking on. Whatever you click on is up to you. We're going to talk about a state, which is one of the things we're known to do on Tuesdays. And we're going to take a look at what's going on in that state. You get to pick the state. So before we do that, I guess I should have seen if I got any water in here. We're going to check out the notes from the ATF rule change. So that's what we should be calling it, an ATF rule change. They're changing the rules on us. So let's get into here. ATF nostrils April, which is probably how I typed it. All right, so I'm just going to read through. Oh, you can see it right there. You can see it here. Some of my notes. Basically, it's copy and pasting because I didn't want to stop the process of reading. Oh, if you don't know, over on the big channel, I've been reading the 364 pages of the whatever rule change, and it's 5 hours so far. I'm 150 pages in. People have said if you listen to it on double speed, it's better because you don't have to listen so as long. And eventually we'll put some timestamps perhaps in there if it's worth listening to. It's probably not worth listening to. So once it's all over, I'm taking some notes like this. We'll have some bullet points from it, and obviously we'll see the lawsuits and the consequences of it all. But as far as being able to reference things or whatever, or have topics to talk about, strategies and things, let's leave some notes or try to take some notes as I'm reading. I'm really not interested in ever reading it again. I'm opening the door. Hold on. So, like I said, in an effort to make the notes not bother the reading, their notes aren't that great. So I'll try to remember or recollect what it was I was making a note about. All right, so that's Barbecues Chat over there. Welcome to everybody who came over from Barbecues Chat. DC Project posted this video, so F the ATF for a minute, and let's talk about the DC Project, who's a bunch of chicks that go around hanging out at the representatives' offices in DC and at the state capitals, and they posted a video today saying, we're on offense now. And I think this will copyright me. Let's find out.
You and I are constantly bombarded by misinformation from politicians, celebrities, and media personalities who demonize guns and gun owners. Their accounts are contrary to my experience as a responsible gun owner, a retired police officer, and a professional competitive shooter. I have listened to their lies and I've taken their punches, but I refuse to stay silent any longer because I know a lot of women who have something to say and they won in the game. They're ready to play offense with the truth.
The truth is, we all want the same thing, to protect ourselves, our families, and to be safe in our communities. The DC Project is a nationwide grassroots organization made up of women from every demographic. We come from all different walks of life, but we are united in preserving our Second Amendment rights. As we share our experiences, we push back against gun control lies and oppose those who demand our rights be restricted.
As an immigrant from Venezuela, I saw how easy it was for freedom to die. My family and I watched tyranny destroy our home. In Venezuela, the media, celebrities, and politicians repeated the same anti-gun messages until people found it normal and acceptable to give up their freedoms. The reality is, none of it is normal or acceptable. Hungry and helpless, Venezuelans are now unable to protect themselves. Now, as a proud American, I am determined to guard against the same things happening here.
We constantly hear about common sense gun control, like universal background checks, banning assault weapons, ghost guns, high-capacity magazines, and gun show loopholes. Every city that is facing massive crime waves have put these policies into place. Common sense tells me that they don't work. So why do people still believe the idea that those policies save lives? Actual common sense is holding criminals accountable, not letting them out of jail or encouraging them to be more confrontational. Common sense is not stealing the right of the American people to protect themselves. This is the message that America needs to hear.
The DC Project works to reduce firearm accidents by campaigning for education in schools. We counter the false gun control lies by testifying in hearings and meeting our legislators. We equip our friends, our families, and our communities to know the truth. Gun owners are good people.
America is a beacon of freedom. The Second Amendment is vital piece in ensuring that our kids can have a free country to grow up in. We stand with the lawmakers who support the Constitution, and we provide armor from the attacks by the gun control lobby.
Join the DC Project today. Become a member, donate, or subscribe to our newsletter for updates on how we educate, advocate, and preserve our Second Amendment rights for generations to come.
All right, so there you go. So now we've got, first off, let's talk about the level of production.
Our rights be restricted.
Have you been paying attention to the DC Project for any length of time? Some of y'all have. Look at the level of production. Look at the effectiveness of the visual, and look at the visuals. Look at the optics, right? Look at the amount of data they're able to put into here and what that data challenges and who that data is going to. This represents a bunch of ladies who have put effort into polishing this and getting ready for this fight. Like, doom on Bloomberg and the other idiots for thinking that they could push these ladies around. They've had like I say, the years that they've spent doing this have created relationships with representatives, and now they're able to bring this kind of content to them, which is one of the reasons Bloomberg and the ladies were able to just a second. Go back to wherever I was at. Where was I at? That they have been, well, I guess I was just saying they've been practicing their craft and they've been establishing relationships at the same time. So they're good to go. And I've seen some other stuff along this time frame that's done the same. Like, this is just the one I happen to champion because I know a bunch of the ladies in it and they're cool and I like the work they're doing. And I kind of like that it goes up and challenges the Bloomberg Moms Demand Monsanto lady, but that's just because she's been taken granted. She's been just taking it and walking with it because they can create massive media graphics and throw them to people who were looking for them. Now they've got a competition. Now they've got a choice. And now a politician can make a real choice and not look like they're siding with some yahoos or the NRA or something. So this is kind of neat. And like I say, there's other organizations that are kicking so much ass out there that I just haven't been focused on, but in different directions, different groups, different locations, different regions or whatever. Like, that guy behind him is Derek from Kids Safe. And that looks like a real gun. They're teaching kids gun safety to some kids, like real gun safety. You got Faster, who's teaching real emergency techniques and tactics to all kinds of healthcare and civil whatever teachers and stuff. So you've got established stuff that's been happening and creating precedent and getting stronger and better. And now, as soon as people have a reason to support stuff like that, they're going to look around and see a failing or crippled NRA and Derek LeBlanc. Thank you. And yeah, this is really neat. This is, like I said, I don't know if they've been holding on to this or if they just had it ready and it just happened to coincidentally throw out here. All right. That's their video. So let's put that out there. If you want to watch, did I really put the link out there? If you want to watch it, you can watch it. I'd say it's worth sharing around. It's not like, we're all gonna get them up into the search rankings by ourselves, but you never know. Tell a friend kind of thing. And it is a good product. Like it's a little long. I think they could have chopped a minute off of it personally, but it's super good. They put a lot of data into there, and it's the kind of thing that's catchy. So somebody might watch it and watch it for a minute. All right. And then we had the rip-off show that's over now. That nobody cares about. All right, now we're back into this show, and we're going to talk about one of the states. Y'all are voting on it right now. Seems to be like Ohio is going to win. That's what I was doing, is getting out the notes. So I guess what I was saying earlier, too, is that I was reading the ATF's new rules, and they're 364 pages written, and I'm at 150 pages now after 5 hours. No comments, as few comments as I possibly can. I can't help laughing sometimes because they just say some ridiculous shit in there. But to stop doing that and to try to remember some of the crazy heinous, there's so much heinous in there. I've been copying and pasting over to this little document here, some stuff. So the directors, what the hell? They don't have a director. They haven't had a director for many, what do they call them now? Camp regimes, what do you call them things? Presidencies, like administrations. It's been multiple administrations since they've had a director. And this Yahoo stupid document acts like there's a director walking around making decisions all over the place. And like the director's got some sort of like, awareness of every issue they've got anywhere in the whole ATF. And they just run around making determinations of everything. Freaking annoying. Oh, that's way too small. So let's bring that back up to here. Can I just get this thing to maybe be the size of the screen or something? Is that too much to ask? Window? Nope, I guess not. I'll just have to do it this way. Oh, and now I killed the font too. That's annoying. Let's get back to, I could put a decent font in here. That might help. That didn't help. All right, so that was the first one, directors. Then to ensure the traceability of a firearm. So there's a lot of assumption, a lot of relying on their bullshit, as if their bullshit was somehow doctrine or somehow right or correct or good or anything, or like not expensive. So they really care about the traceability of a firearm. Not that that's an Achilles heel. It's something we should have been going after for a long time, but we definitely need to remove this false narrative that somehow being able to have a serial number on something makes it better than not having a serial number, or that it's going to solve anything. There's nothing in here that suggests that they've solved any crimes that I've read in the first half of it. They only rely on the concept that it's utterly important to have serial numbers in order to do their job as investigators. They don't talk about the results of that at all. To be confusing to law enforcement. So they need everything to be dumbed down so that it's easy for law enforcement. And that's been something that's, a debate or contested or whatever for a while on a lot of different things. So I don't know who specifically would go after the weakness or the inefficiency of law enforcement, but basically it would be a lot easier if everybody walked, right? That would be a lot easier for law enforcement because then they wouldn't have to worry about cars, right? So at what point do you draw the line between what the hell is easy for law enforcement or confusing for law enforcement? How about don't make a stupid ass law that takes 364 words or pages to explain, and then that's not difficult for law enforcement. How about that? What if it's like 10 pages long, or if it doesn't fucking exist at all? Assholes. So then the next one is the sole purpose of repair, identification, evaluation, research, testing, or calibration, and return to the same lawful possessor is not a transfer. I was going to say there's probably going to be a heck of a lot of evaluation, research, testing, and calibration going on in the world, because that's what I'm going to start doing. I'm going to do some long-term calibrations, identification, evaluations, and research. Anybody know what I'm saying? Wink, wink. To avoid a potential research burden on the ATF. See my last rant 2 rants ago. The hell, who gives a shit how much research burden is on them? How about remove the ATF then, assholes? So they're like going, oh, look at this elaborate bullshit law we made. Oh, it's so hard for us to make the law. Can we have more money? But this does give them a shit ton of money, a ton of money. With little public safety benefit. Yeah, with none. So they use this a lot, but not in the good way. They use this in the bad way. Like everything bad about it, well, everything opposite, right? So if they think that something's so good, then it's got much safety benefit. But if they don't like something, it's got no public safety benefit. So Barron, I don't know if he's out here or not, was doing some keyword searches, and that would be one to keyword search, right? Public safety benefit. That's probably in there. Oh man, see, it would be interesting. I might do that as part of the quizzes or something to see if people can figure out which one's the most searched or most used. But it's mind numbing to read it because I got to keep reading things like public safety benefit. The department proposed to clarify the existing process which persons may voluntarily submit such requests to ATF. I need to get this thing so you can see the whole thing. You can see the whole screen. Yeah. So the department proposed to clarify the existing process by which persons may voluntarily submit such requests to ATF. And I was like, well, that would suck if ATF got a whole shit ton of voluntary submitted requests. We already know that they're feeble, that they have resource burdens. So I don't want the ATF to get clogged down with a bunch of a new existing process by which persons may voluntarily submit such requests to the ATF, because that seems like an abuse maybe of the system. Something also proposed to codify ATF's policy of not evaluating a firearm accessory or attachment unless it is installed on the firearms in the configuration which it is designed. So I don't know why I put that one in there. The proposed to codify a policy not evaluating a firearm accessory or attachment unless it is installed on the firearm in the configuration for which it is designed. Nope, I have no idea why I put that one in there. To remove from paragraph F that indicates an FFL must fill out the firearm's description information only after filling out the information. All right, so right now, you don't fill out the 4473's gun information until they do their 4473. Wait, no. To remove the paragraph that indicates an FFL must fill out the firearm description information only after filling out the information. So I think what happens is you have to fill out the firearm stuff. No, wait a minute, you don't. So a lot of times what people do is they'll have you fill out the 4473 on the front page, and I can't remember which version they have now, if you sign the back or not, but you know, the front page and the back page of the 4473, and then they call it in, and then they fill out a couple other things that, like the little code they get from NICS, and then you know you got a completed 4473, you go fill out the gun info. And that might be store policy. I don't think it matters, but I think maybe there was a paragraph that said, or a phrase that said you can't fill out the description. Anyway, that bothers me, and I don't like it when there's subtle changes to procedure at FFLs, because ATF has already been reprimanded in the Gun Control Act of 1968 for abusing FFLs with their regulatory power. And if they can inflict regulatory abuse on FFLs, there are fewer FFLs. So one way to create an agenda would be to abuse a regulatory authority, right? So that part scares me, that they're doing anything with the regulatory ability of their influence, right? Again, remove FFLs. They haven't shown nothing. FFLs are stupid. If FFLs are so good, then why don't we have background checks on cars? Why don't we put serial numbers on cars? Maybe even a serial number that's identifiable from the outside of the car. Really? You know what I'm saying? Because then a witness could see the number, and if there's a hit and run or an accident, or maybe somebody fell off a cliff, like everyone would be able to see that identifiable, unique number that's plastered on the front and back of the car. What if we made that a law? You couldn't even drive a car on the road unless there was an identifiable, easy to read, maybe a 6-digit number with some letters in it so that it was unique, right? And then there wouldn't be crimes, right? Because everything would have serial numbers, and then the world would be perfect. So Then we'll go on to remove the paragraph, blah, blah, blah. Okay, further, if persons remain unclear as to which specific portion of a weapon or device falls within the definition of frame or receivers, then they may still voluntarily submit a request to ATF as otherwise provided. And again, this seems like some people who may be unsure or question the firearms or parts of the firearms that they own, it seems like the ATF is putting themselves in a situation where they're going to get a lot of requests, and they're already struggling because we know they're feeble. And I just feel bad for the ATF because they're so sad. So maybe we should get rid of the ATF. Maybe this is too much burden that they've brought on themselves. Let's see. State and local jurisdictions are free to enact their own requirements and restrictions on kits, provided they do not directly and positively conflict with federal law. I don't know why I put that one in here. Why did I put that one in here? State and local jurisdictions are free to enact their own requirements and restrictions. Oh, I think what it is that's an indication that they know they can't do jack squat, and that the only people that can do jack squat, they hope, are people at local level. Because that seemed to me like a futile, desperate, like, hey, state and local jurisdictions, you're free to enact your own requirements and restrictions on these things. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You know what I'm saying? State and local jurisdictions. So I don't like that. Next one, third, the government's effort to reduce gun violence are not directed at any expressive conduct and cannot be construed to be related to the suppression of free expression in any way. I think that was the guy at the FUD show. What's the name of that FUD show? I just watched it today. The FUD Zone? No, the FUDbusters? FUDbusters. So that one guy who's on FPC, he's in Florida, I think, and he's a lawyer for FPC, I think. He did a video about the ATF thing, and I think he's the one that put in this one that says, there was one of the comments that said something about, if you're an artist and you're using parts of firearms in your art, how do you know what to take to the FFL? Do you send that to the ATF? And then the ATF said something like, if you're still unclear, then you can send a portion of the weapon or the device and send it to us. And what if you made a giant wind chime out of barrels and you weren't sure if those would be serial numbered? The ATF's got to take a giant wind chime of barrels. What if you made a giant elephant out of a shit ton of barrels or receiver blanks? What if you took a shit ton of receiver blanks and welded them into a giant elephant that looked like it was taking a giant poop on a 4473, and then you wanted to make sure that wasn't really a firearm, and you sent it to the ATF? Would they have to accept a giant elephant taking a poop on a 4473 made out of barrel receiver chunks? I don't know, but I'm just saying it looks like they're asking for that. They've asked specifically that if you have questions, then you can voluntarily submit a request to the ATF. And I'm pretty sure that that art one was that guy from the FUDbusters. I thought that was pretty cool. Let's see. Further, if persons, okay, state and local jurisdictions, wink, wink. Third, government's efforts. Oh, okay, that one. The Second Circuit Court rejected that argument, finding that this statutory language dates at least to the 94 federal assault weapons ban, and there is no record evidence that it has given rise to confusion at any time within the last decades. That was hard to read and not comment on. So what this is saying is that the court said that this statutory language dates back to 1994 when there was an assault weapons ban, and nobody bitched about it then. Therefore, we can just do whatever the frick we want right now. So people that are like, activism is for the birds. Activism is blah, blah, blah. I'm going to sit on my couch and blah, blah, blah. Well, that's what the circuit court is suggesting is the evidence for the fact that nobody should do nothing about it now. So then next one, projectile weapons other than handguns. Somewhere around page, I don't know, 100 maybe, they started talking about projectile weapons other than handguns all the damn time. Whenever they're talking about the new, like in the future, according to the ATF, pistols will have a frame and rifles will have a receiver. And when you're talking about rifles, What if you're talking about shotguns or other projectile weapons other than handguns? So that's their new clarification that everyone should be happy about. Projectile weapons other than handguns. Let's see, what's in the projectile weapon other than a handgun? A bow and arrow, a BB gun, a slingshot, taking a piece of rubber band between your two fingers and winging a piece of corn or somebody at something. Come on, man. They seriously are gonna count that your hand is now a frame? I guess it's a receiver technically. All right, I don't know what I would have here. Rin, was that urine? Might have made a note urine. Is this all P? No. A prohibition simply upon the use of property for purposes that are declared by valid legislation to be injurious to the health, morals, or safety of the community cannot in any just sense be deemed to be a taking or an appropriation of property for the public benefit. So you see what I'm saying? Guns need to be a public health epidemic in order for this to kick in, where there's no prohibition on taking property that would be injurious to the health, morals, or safety of the community. So if you can suggest something is unsafe to the community, you can do whatever you want to stop the thing. So let's ignore that, I guess. Then this one, there is clearly a rational basis for requiring those engaged in the business of manufacturing to be licensed and serialize their firearms. Neither the Gun Control Act nor this implementing rule requires unlicensed individuals to mark firearms that they use for their personal use or transfer them to an FFL. Such individuals who wish to produce, acquire, or transfer should, however, determine whether there are any applicable. I don't know why I put that one in there. There is clearly a rational basis. That seems like I wouldn't normally take that much unless I wanted the beginning and the end of it, and it doesn't make any sense. The rational basis for requiring those engaged in the business to be licensed and serialized. Oh, maybe because it says there's clearly a rational basis for requiring those engaged in the business of manufacturing to be licensed and serialize their firearms. It makes me freaking foam at the mouth to even say it a third time. I'm guessing I've said that now for the fourth time. Stupid ATF making me say that. That's bullshit as hell. Clearly a rational basis. F you and your rational basis. Prove any of that. And I don't see no little number. Sometimes there's a little number that goes to some stupid footnote where they justify their bullshit. I don't see nothing justifying that. Clearly a rational basis. Come on, man. They don't have clearly nothing in this whole goddamn thing. And then the last one, the words privately made firearm or the abbreviation are required to be recorded as the name of the manufacturer, not the name of the actual private maker. So a-holes, what if you're somebody like, what if you're Mr. Knives? I don't want to get him in trouble. What if you are Clover? Let's get him in trouble. And you're Clover and you're out there and you made some gun and you made the Clover Cleaver. No, Clover. What do he make? He makes some kind of weird 22 revolver, right? So Clover makes some kind of weird 22 revolver, privately made, calls it the Clover Cleaver, because I can't figure out a better name. And then, goes around being a jerk, because turns anti-gun, because you know how he is. It's just, you never know. So he goes anti-gun. Now he's selling that gun because he's super greedy and he wants to make money. So now the gun shop is going to take that Clover Cleaver in, sell it for them, and now they got to call it the PMF. That's stupid. So why can't people call their gun whatever the hell they want to call it? First Amendment, also just bullshit, just tyrannical bullshit. Like annoying tyrannical, but in the worst case, it's another slice with a knife, a sharp blade, to then stand back and see what the reaction is. So this isn't a rant as much as a observance of some of the notes, but we'll see if we get conversations out of this whole thing, if we get a bunch of people motivated and active from this whole thing, If we get organizations that get up off their ass and do something, maybe organizations will get built. I'm sure that there'll be consequences of this in the long run. Organizations will be built because of the inactions of the existing organizations. So organizations that exist today won't do enough for some people, no matter what they do. And I'm guessing they won't do enough, period. I'm not pessimistic. I just don't think they're going to do much. They're not going to do, definitely not going to do enough for some people. And those people are going to create organizations. And there's going to be enough of those people that some of those organizations will stay unless the world changes. That's what will happen. And those organizations will be massively motivated. And let's see how big those organizations are, considering I keep being told that the next generation who's just started voting in their first national elections this last time around, that they're a larger population swell than the baby boomers. So if we're going to see a large population swell that just are unsatisfied with their first experience with the national elections, let's see what the potential is there. Do we want to ignore that, or do we want to create with the awareness of that potential out there? And what happens when they act? Who's going to catch their ear? I am going to look for this, which I found because I'm freaking that good. And then I'm going to move some of this crap out of the way over to this side, I think. And then bring this light over here, you know, for the light. And then we'll get started on the state. So you had your time to vote. You had an opportunity to vote for four different states over there. Can anybody tell what the commonality is of those 4 states? That's right. If you put 3 of them in order, it's Gun Owners of America. So let's see. Don't sell them to the ATF. Make them out of something lame, because barrels are good. All right, I'm going to look at the comments now, which I haven't been looking at. Wood says Georgia. I'm assuming he voted Georgia over here. Good evening. Gunpowder's out there. Good evening. She probably still has a baby. DJ's out there. There you go. Smeggy's out there. Ozzy, good evening. Did I say pants? Good evening, good morning, depending on where you're at. Woods, DC Project video was awesome. Very stoked about that video. If I'm missing anything, let me know. Oh, boil down the rule change for too long, didn't read people. That's not possible, dude. It is a lot. It is everything that the comment periods alluded to, period, everything. So, everything. There's a lot. There's the receivers are now a different thing, like I just said. Now there's frames and receivers. Receivers on guns, pistols have frames. An AR-15 has a frame and a receiver somehow. So there's serial number requirements that are crazy. Different parts of guns now require serial numbers that are like subsequent serial numbers. Like you're going to have a serial number that's created for the lower and the upper that'll be the same and it'll be unique. And I guess they think that people keep all their guns together all the time. Anyway, there's the receivers thing. There's the 80% need to have a metal plug with a serial number. So it's effectively telling you, oh, you know that thing that you already own? Now it has to have a piece of metal in it. Okay, well, you made it and it doesn't have a piece of metal in it. Well, it has to have a piece of metal in it. So whatever the hell that's going to mean. Something like probably the bump stock situation or not, I guess. We have yet to see. There's stuff in there for more than that. There's stuff in there for suppressors, have all kinds of changes. There are changes for, oh, what am I missing? I'm missing some other stuff. There's a lot more. There's changes to gun shops. They have to keep their records for lifetime. No more 20 years, throw it away. Lifetime now. Yeah, there's a ton. We kind of mentioned some other stuff here along the way. DJ put a link to the DC project. Thanks for that. Common sense is these policies don't work. Need to be a shirt. Oh, from the DC Project video. I gotcha. And I'm kind of just scrolling through here. Whoever is director doesn't matter. That's why the Chipman thing was a distraction. This new guy, I don't know anything about him. He just doesn't matter. They will be anti-gun. Yep. And then I never hear the ATF talk about tobacco or alcohol. You never hear the government talk about it anymore. It's almost as if the government doesn't have any profit in the persecution of tobacco anymore. And alcohol was never persecuted, ever. All they ever did with alcohol is slap them on the wrist and say, did they ever say you can't advertise in sports or on TV or something? Like, I think they barely ever slapped alcohol. Nobody's going to get mad at alcohol. But yeah, the deaths from alcohol are 200,000 or several 100,000 or something. And then tobacco is many times higher than that, 500,000 or something. I guess I just have it right here. Do I have firearms death or something like that? Firearms deaths. So tobacco is 480,000 deaths. Firearms, or I guess alcohol, is 95,000 deaths, so 100,000 almost. Firearms, 11,000. So that green little sliver is the firearms deaths that the ATF is so worried about. The tobacco and the alcohol, which is more than likely fuel for the firearms violence. The tobacco, not so much, but that's a cause for lots of deaths, unless you don't care about 100 or 500,000 deaths that is the agency you're supposed to be in charge of. Are none of those children? Or is the ATF paying attention to that at all? Not that we want them to do anything, but let's just say, hey, they haven't done their job, period. So goodbye. We don't need to do that obligation or responsibility as a government. Oh, let's see. So then they were only ever given explosives after. Oh, that's a question for everybody. What gave the ATF explosives? When did they become BATFE instead of just BATF? Gun should be another agency. How about none agency? So research is hard, so they don't want to do it. Yeah, exactly. Or it's like, oh, it's going to cost us money, and here we care about how much money we spend. Then Sandhills is out there. They're live Thursday. There shouldn't be any gun info on a 4473. The idea is to background check the person. It doesn't matter what gun it is. Yeah, they keep the gun info is usually just the same information that's in the bound book. So manufacturer and serial number and yeah, that's it pretty much. Oh, it's something else. I can't think. A date maybe. The idea is to, if let's say you go in there and you buy 6 guns in 6 separate days, that's just so that they know which one it is, I guess. So let's say you were in there buying 12 guns on 12 days. Somebody went in there and caused crime or something, dropped a gun. Now they go, oh, where'd this guy get this gun or whatever, and blah, blah, blah. Ideally, they trace it back and they go, ah, look it. So there's a lot of ifs and idealies in there, but that's a good point. Let's see them give us some facts to back any of that up. But no, I agree. No 4473s. I think we can all agree on that. Number could be on some sort of a metal plate. Oh, you're talking about on a car? That's a good idea, because then it would, like, you know, be visible and reflective. And yeah, that's a great idea. I'm going to add that to my list and suggest that to, I'm going to suggest it to every single state. I'm just going to do it. I think even the military vehicles could put something like that on there. Really. I'm going to say trucks should have one too, maybe even 2 of them. Let's see. So start sending art projects to the ATF. I'm putting that on my schedule. Sounds like a good Thursday activity. Yeah. What if you took 1 barrel and then you took that barrel and you made it out of a material, like inexpensive foam or some kind of inexpensive cardboard or something with a shellac on it. And you were concerned that that cardboard shellacked thing that has the same shape as an AK barrel, you know, might be a gun, because you don't know. You're not a biologist. So maybe you should send something like that in every Thursday. But I don't know if that's harassment. I'm not the one that suggested it. I'm just standing here minding my business. Let's see. Then start making lamps out of the email. Yeah, we're back to here. All right. So what do we say? Ohio is winning. So that means going to here, and we're going to jump into the state of Ohio. I don't think we've done Ohio on here yet. So this is a misprint of my 50 states book where I, if you can't tell, I printed one side of it upside down and the other side of it the right side up. So I can't sell it. So I'm going to try to make use out of it by doing these videos from it. If you're interested in something like this, it was for sale. I don't know if I can't print them anymore because I ran out of ink, but I probably wouldn't print it anymore because it's not really that good. I'd rather make it bigger. So if you're really interested in one, consider being a Patreon. Why can't I find Ohio? It has to be, I would think it has to be, oh, maybe it's on the other side of this. This is how you can tell in a book what's the other side. Maine, Oregon, there it is, Ohio. All right, so again, this is a project I came up with in 2020, I think, and the idea was to take the Minuteman University project, which I think we just looked at a second ago, which is both skills and resources for Second Amendment advocates and advocates. So there's workshops over there. We've had lots of resources, and having it online is great, but not everybody goes online. And sometimes for things like this, you want to have it, in a usable piece of paper. For the youngins, this is called a printout of the internet. If you put staples on it, it turns it into a book. Again, we might have a couple of copies of these over at the store, but if you're interested, join us as a Patreon. And one of my goals is to get this thing into a full-size book. So get more information on the page, make it a little easier to read, get a more consistent format. So we're digging into this 2020 edition, and we start off at the top. We got Ohio being the 17th state in the Union on March 1st, 1803. It does have a Second Amendment, like most states do. Theirs is, the people have the right to bear arms for their defense and security, but standing armies in time of peace are dangerous to liberty and shall not be kept. And the military shall be in strict subordination to the civil power. Article 1, Section 4. So I don't remember which one of our big amendments tells the military to go below, but that seems like they crammed their Second Amendment and their other amendment. Is that the 4th or 5th or something? That's cramming those both into one. Pretty decent. I'll take it. Then we got open carry without a permit. We got concealed carry, April 2004, shall issue something like 623,000 permits in Ohio. As far as I know, Ohio is not one of the states that offers so great of reciprocity that other people seek an Ohio non-resident concealed carry. So that's pretty decent, 623. Somewhere in here, I've got a list of all the states and the number of CCWs they've got, but I can't find it because this thing's all flipped around and backwards. When you flip over the pages like that and staple it together, this is Maine and Ohio, but that's only because I don't know why. It did kind of work out. But anyway, they're pretty hard to figure out. It's like going up down the stairs in an MC Escher picture. So this constitutional carry, NA, not yet. Or wait a minute. Now they do have constitutional carry. So they were where's it at? What were they? What state? Which state? Let's go look. I forget which one they're calling themselves. '23. Ohio's constitutional carry goes into effect June 12th, state number 23. Here you go. Little quick zap about there and there if you want to look at, oops. Want to look at some more constitutional carry stuff? We got it over there. All right, so constitutional carry, welcome. 23rd, right before Indiana and Georgia, which was today. All right, so nobody picked Georgia though. Suppressors for hunting, not yet. That's interesting because there's quite a bit of hunters in Ohio, from what I understand. State firearm, none. So, question: what would be Ohio state firearm? Oh, I think I know what's going to come up. I think I know what the answer is going to be. Anyway, Second Amendment sanctuary, 31 at the printing of this. This may have changed. It could have very easily changed because these are pretty fluid, in the respect that they're growing. Second Amendment sanctuaries, 31 out of 88 counties in Ohio are Second Amendment sanctuaries. 1 city and 3 township are also Second Amendment sanctuaries. Oh, you know who else is in? Well, we'll get to that in a minute. So that's what I'm aware of from the time of this creation of this thing in 2020 about Ohio. I guess I could also mention that they had planned to do a Patriots Day on April 25th of 2020. That's interesting. So let me go onto the internet right about now and go Ohio to a rally and see what they say about having an Ohio 2A rally. I guess I should type in there Ohio 2A rally 2022. Constitutional, not last item. Nothing about, it's about political rallies. Oh, Drake County 2A event, Free Ohio Now. What's all this about? 2021. Oh. June 12th. Nope, there's a different one. Oh, we missed one last year. But at least when I wrote this, because I remember I wrote this at the beginning of the BS, they'd planned on doing a Patriots Day rally. I'm not sure if that actually ever happened or not. All right, so that's at the top of each of these pages. That's what we've got is the information about the state. I'm getting used to the way that oh, you know what else it is? I'm looking at this light over here instead of this camera over here. This will make it a little easier. I'll just shift behind over here. So anyway, at the beginning here, we've got the information about the state and some of its characteristics as far as laws. We know that it's a Second Amendment sanctuary, but there's some other interesting history about Ohio. In 1825, the first recorded trap shooting match was conducted in Cincinnati. So the first time anybody ever sat around thinking, oh, I'm better at you than shotgun. And they were like, oh yeah, you want to prove it? And then they were like, yeah, let's do it in front of a bunch of people. That was in 1825. Until then, everybody just minded their business with their shotguns, from what I understand. In 1880, just a few days later, George Legowski invented the clay target in Ohio. So clay targets, Ohio. They got that going for them. Let's see, we have the Sportsmen's Alliance, started in 1978 in Columbus, and that is, the U.S. Sportsmen's Alliance, I believe, was hunting or trapping. I know it's hunting, but it might have been trapping, and they were getting persecuted, and they banded together, and it's similar to a POMA, but it's more of an industry organization, so I guess it's kind of like an NSSF, but a little bit more tweaked on hunting, which I guess all of them were at the beginning. All the industry trade shows were pretty much all hunting. All right, so then you get the Buckeye Firearms Association since 2005. Faster, kind of mentioned Faster earlier today. Faster Saves Lives is in Ohio since 2013. Those are like our nonprofit organizations, right? And Jim Irvine and Ken Hansen would be the people associated with Buckeye Firearms Association and with its creation in 2005. Little side note, super cool that I'm putting that in there, or at least for me, because when I started doing stuff online and then was like, you know what, I'm going to do gun stuff. One of the reasons I did gun stuff is because the Buckeye, what was it called? Usually it was just a forum or something. But the Buckeye Firearms Association, we had a guide that was named Buckeye in one of our things, and I knew what Buckeye was from that. And then anyway, I started paying attention to their really, really good website. And then I went over and looked at ours, not good website, and was like, what can I do about that? Started building stuff. Or at least definitely kept a gun focus from that point on. But the influence of them, Georgia Carey was also influential. All right, so we've got some of the individuals now. We've got the organizations. Now we're getting into some of the infrastructure, I guess, not just of Ohio, but period, for guns. The NRA is pretty influential, pretty big. They had started competitions. That's what the whole NRA started for, to do those competitions, to keep people sharp between wars so that they're competent and capable during warfare with rifles. So they had, what's the big one in New York? The, can't think of it because I can't think of it, but or I'm trying to think of it. And then they moved to the other one in New Jersey. So they outgrew the one in New York. They moved to New Jersey, outgrew it, and moved to Camp Perry. So Camp Perry is the largest, over 300 acres, and that was in 1906. So NRA starts in like 17 something, late 1700s. So Seagirt was the New Jersey one, and they make rifles after him. What's the name of it? Not Wimbledon. Creedmoor, dang it. So the Creedmoor range was the first one, then came Seagirt, and then Camp Perry. All right. Then we got the Dayton Air Museum, which really has nothing to do with guns, but I like going there, so I put it in there. Got the CMP North, since 1996, has been in Camp Perry. CMP is the Civilian Marksmanship Program. It started out to give surplus military rifles to the youth so that they could shoot practically and economically. And then a bunch of crusty older folks decided to use to plunder the CMP like a bunch of pirates pushing a bunch of little kids out of the way to steal their gold. Let's see. Then you got the Cardinal Shooting Center, built in 2005, from what I understand, some sort of a fancy shotgun place. I wonder if it has anything to do with the fact that shotgun shooting comes from the state, literally. So that's the organization, sort of some of the infrastructure with stuff. What do we got over here? The industry. So I don't know everything that happened there, but I know that High Point started in 1992 in Mansfield. You got Cohen's online auctions started in 1995. I guess I shouldn't say online. Cohen's auction started in 1995 in Cincinnati. Chippewa, how are we going to say it? Started importing their U.S. branch in Dayton, Ohio in 2007. And then Second Call Defense. Did you know that one of the insurance companies is from Westchester, Ohio? They started in 2013. One of the third to the most recent of the insurance ones. I'm pretty sure they're insurance. And there you go. I want to say thanks to a couple of folks who made the page possible over on the spine section here, if I can get it to focus. We say thanks to the people who sponsored the pages so that I basically could spend some time putting this book together, taking the information from the website and formatting it into the page, and then getting it printed and all that, paying for the ink it took to print a few of these. So we've got Scott, Christopher, Jonathan, and Mark. And I'm guessing, not sure if you're one of them, but I know that Pink is one of these and Roll Call is one of these. And I don't keep track of people's names, but I know Pink enough to know his name, I think. Yeah, no, I know Pink's name. And the other one I'm pretty sure is Roll Call. And then there's two others. So thanks to the folks that made this page possible. And this is actually a reminder of that down here. This is sort of a weird spreadsheet looking way of saying thanks to everybody and then putting a little hashtag in there for the various pages that they sponsored. It's kind of odd because Garrett sponsored almost every one of them, every page. And for whatever reason, there was a gap, and Ohio was one of his gaps. All right, so that's from the 50 states of 2A. another resource to offer information. The idea here was to have a small enough book that it could be set in somewhere so that if, let's say, you're having a conversation with people, oh, wait, what was that size of that firearm museum? Or where was the 1997 gun rights policy conference, the stuff that comes up in conversations all the time. I really made it to look kind of like an almanac so that it's something you can pick up and you don't really read it. You just sort of open it up and let your eyes wander. And maybe since it's a little bit visual, see something, catch your eye, read about it. Maybe you remember that H&H Sporting Goods in Oklahoma, right off of I-40, is the largest gun shop indoor shooting range in the United States. You can literally decide, oh, you know what? I'm sick of driving. 40's horrible, and it's long and monotonous, and Oklahoma is okay, but I want to get out and enjoy Oklahoma. So I'm going to stop in Oklahoma City and get out at H&H Shooting Sports. Who doesn't even know I exist? It's not like they're paying me to say that. But it is a cool shop. It's like 9,000 feet long and has 26 bays or something like that. So that's the kind of stuff we wanted to get across in that book. I guess I don't need this on anymore. And each Tuesday, we'll go through and look at one of the book pages out of there. And you all decided how do I get this back? Which page it would be by voting over here. And it was Ohio. So we'll probably keep the other ones up there next week, except for we'll replace Ohio, which we've already done, with Nebraska, who got the massive shaft this year around this year. I think that's all we were doing. So I did that in about an hour. That's not too bad considering I just kind of ranted at the beginning. We will have some more format or some more formal content for the Tuesday shows and more focus on 2A. Really, the goal is not just to wander through the states like that, certainly not to rant about news of the day, but while that stuff was still fresh in my head from reading 150 pages or whatever, I figured it might be interesting to read through some of those notes. Going to be curious to see how people respond to everything that's happening. This isn't the first time. It's certainly not going to be the last time. So let's think it is the first time for a bunch of people, and it may be the last time for a bunch of people. Not that they're going to pass or anything, but they just might get sick of it. They might feel frustrated. I've definitely noticed a trend in the times that this kind of stuff has happened, that if people who like to create organizations can't rally enough people around to create another organization, they'll get frustrated. And there is enough stuff happening in the world that it's not like this is the only game in town. If somebody wants to rally a bunch of people together to get motivated to chat or talk or whatever, you might find people ditching out. On the other hand, it's an opportunity for folks to rally. And when there's dissatisfaction with the existing whatever, organizations or methodologies or whatever it might be, you're going to find plenty of folks who are interested in jumping on something new and kicking with it. I mean, there was some real momentum, some little fits and starts in 2013, but nothing crazy. There was not like a new NRA created. It was a couple of years after that initial resistance that all that stuff was created. That stuff was created. It now has had 7 years to cook. And the stuff that inspired those organizations to be instigated is happening again, except in the worst way possible in the middle of the year, as people have all the skill set of working remotely and together. Our adversaries are going to have the same added skill sets. However, I doubt they're as motivated. So we've got a group of allies and resources, people on our side who know what they're doing and or have been getting ready for this type of situation. And now it's just a matter of seeing who's going to address this and in what ways, and how the community will deal with it. Will we just simply watch and then, complain that it didn't get taken care of fast enough? Will we sit and wait and observe? I probably shouldn't eat a peanut in the middle of talking. Sit and wait. I found a peanut sitting here though. We probably won't, or we probably will. A portion of people will sit and watch, but less people than ever before. Number one, it's happened before. I guess I started this whole thing with be prepared for a bunch of people to ditch town. If they're not being listened to, if they're not getting folks to do what they're interested in, they'll ditch. They got nothing else. They got other things to do. And then the folks that are the opposite, that wait for this to happen because they know exactly the songs to sing, get ready for them. They're going to be, that's probably the more The Sky Is Falling. That's one of the songs they'll sing. So, there's plenty that are using this set of circumstances again, this time around, to lay into their old dance or their old song. And we'll have to get used to seeing that. But this is also not just the first time a bunch of people are to the rodeo. Some people, it's their first time at the rodeo. And they'll get duped. They'll get some experience. But those people that have seen a couple of rodeos already, probably a bunch of them were sitting on the sidelines, maybe even participated in one or two. They're not going to be satisfied with the dupe. They're not going to be satisfied with, we got duped and now I guess we have to sit here, because they want their chance. They've seen some success in the past or, right now. And there's no reason why everybody can't jump in and grab successes and wins with the way the situation is right now. So I haven't been paying attention too much. I went into Crumps and asked that question, which organization will be the first to, accomplish the most, I guess, or be the biggest to accomplish which one will accomplish the most, be the biggest punch, be the first punch, be a combination of that. And interesting responses. The default response is to watch. And like I say, we'll see if we just get a bunch of observers this time around, or if we get a bunch of people who watch, realize that we don't have to play the old game, motivated, have been interested to have their chance, and it'll be awesome to start seeing, or I suspect it's we're going to see as a bunch of superstars play their first major leagues. Is that the way to say it? Like, we're going to see some people that we don't even know are naturals yet, because the folks that we've had haven't really had a real fight. Now they do. And those that have had some success in the past, now I'm thinking of a couple of particular individuals that have had relative success, some actual real success, were able to be successful in the off times. Now that there's an actual fight, are they going to be able to, they're used to standing alone, standing out as, doing something and raking in a bunch because they're the only one doing anything. When you're not the only one doing anything anymore and everybody's doing something and nobody's paying anybody to do it, everybody's just doing it, it's a whole nother thing. So, we're going to see some shift into the playing field a little bit. And then with the experienced folks, they're going to gain some experience real quick when they see who ditches for the door and who ditches to grab first aid equipment and who ditches to grab, I shouldn't say it that way because it's not like we're under attack, but who's grabbing the resources and who's grabbing the exit door and who's grabbing the wallet, because a bunch of them they saw somebody else get rich the last time this happened, so they're going to try their hand at making a couple of bucks during the panics and the stress. All right, well, with that, I'm bored. Nobody's saying anything, but I agree with Woods. The sky's not falling. However, it's always not falling because we're flying through the space and our gravity holds some oxygen around us or whatever. But you know what I'm saying? Quarks and fuzzy newtons. Don't forget about fuzzy newtons. All right, I'm bored and I'm falling asleep. So I think we're going to end it. Thanks to the people who did stay up, although, you could say something so I know that you're not just narcs. Could be just 5 federal agents for all I know, watching or listening because they don't even want to have to read the thing that they were supposed to read earlier. If that's the case, you're not allowed to make any comments, so I understand. But we'll see you tomorrow. Not you. The narcs don't have to come back. You can't come back, in fact. There's like a rule against narcs here. The rest of you can come back if you're normal.
GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com.
Thank you for supporting our projects. If you'd like to buy us a cup of coffee, check out our Patreon channel.
The guys and gals at GunWebsites.com encourage you to take a CCW class every year Practice at least once a month and carry every day. Thank you for watching GunWebsites.com. Do 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 do.